Perfect. So welcome to the Parkinsons Foundation's Mindfulness Monday. I'm your host, Krista Ellis, and I live and reside and have fun and do all the cool things in Tampa, Florida. So for those of you who are joining me from the Sunshine State, welcome. And my condolences to you who are not in the state of Florida. I know it must be very cold. So welcome, you guys. If you're new here, Mindfulness Mondays is a really special community of mindful people who are living with or affected by Parkinson's disease. So you could have Parkinson's, you could be a loved one caring for someone with Parkinson's. You could be newly diagnosed, or you could have advanced Parkinson's disease. You could have a tremor, or you could not have a tremor. Okay, you could also be a health professional in the field of Parkinson's disease. So this is a community of people living with or affected by Parkinson's disease. The intention behind Mindfulness Monday is to bring awareness into the present moment. So that is the definition of mindfulness. And I would say, most of us are kind of plagued with the idea of thinking about the future and forgetting about the beautiful essence of living in the moment that you're actually living, because we're here right now. This is life right here. Okay. So in this mindful community, we try to build some tools that you can use at home. You don't need a doctor for, you don't need a physical therapist, you don't need a prescription for, but tools that can help relieve some symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Find some acceptance along your journey of Parkinson's disease. If you're a care partner, learning how to let go of some of the things that you don't need to concern yourself with, or also just trying to find some relaxation and calmness in our minds. Okay, so if that sounds good and yummy to you guys, we'll move forward with today's session. If you're new here, everyone's muted for the duration of the session, just allows us to stream nice and clear. If you have questions, do submit them in the chat. You'll see everyone's real chatty in our chat box, so feel free to share any comments or questions that you might have for me or for your peers. Sharing time on the screen with you today. I do love seeing everybody on screen, as many faces as I can see across the country, across the world, overseas, mountains, oceans, wherever you are. I do love to see your shining faces. So if you're comfortable with it and have the ability, try not to be shy and join us on video, being mindful of what the camera is pointing at. Our next session and the final one for the year, it will be next Monday, December 20th. Started playing with some topics for next week's session. And I think I've got something nice and sweet just in time for the closing of the new year. If you are newly diagnosed and you have recently received a Parkinson's disease diagnosis, or your loved one has, newly diagnosed could be 3-5 years. You're still kind of in the early stages of your journey of Parkinson's disease. This Wednesday, through our PD Health at Home platform, Wellness Wednesday, we are hosting a webinar for those of you who are newly diagnosed. We'll get a lot of tips and tools on how to build a better life with Parkinson's disease. And even if you're not newly diagnosed, there are some nice tools to learn about through this webinar. So take note, you can register for that program at parkinson.org/pdhealth, and Jennifer's going to drop a link into the chat for you guys to click on. We got a couple of emails and calls of concern for next year's Mindfulness Mondays. Don't worry, if you've tried to sign up, it's happening. The web pages for registration will be posted and published by the end of this week. I have a full year of fun, interesting, new topics that we're going to explore next year, new faces, new experts. I'm very excited for next year's program. So please, please, please mark your calendars, save the time, look forward to it, anticipate those times together that we'll share mindfully in the new year. Sharing a little bit about the Parkinson's Foundation's mission, for those of you who aren't too familiar with us, the Parkinson's Foundation works to build and empower the lives of people with Parkinson's disease. We have all the resources you need to strengthen your relationship with the disease, with your peers with the disease. If you have questions or comments or don't know what to do, we are the resource for you. So please, please, please just find whatever you need through the Parkinson's Foundation. We have research for Parkinson's disease. So right now we're doing a genetics research called PD Generation. We through research, are able to improve the care for people with Parkinson's disease and empower and educate our global community. So that's along the lines of our program here today. And here's some contact information for you guys who don't have it already. Our main webpage, parkinson.org, our helpline, which is staffed by bilingual Parkinson specialist at 1-800-4PD-INFO. If you prefer to write, you can email them at helpline@parkinson.org. Beautiful. So Dr. Rush is joining us today through a recorded session. She's actually on the road right now, traveling through, I think it's Missouri. So her and I got together last week to record her session that she's going to be sharing with you guys today. So here's our Dr. Rush.
Thank you, Krista. So nice to see everyone today. Thank you for joining us in this busy, hectic month of December, as it is for many people. And I thought that maybe today we could reflect a little bit on navigating the holidays mindfully, especially as it relates to how we connect to others. Because as we all know, the holidays are a time that we tend to connect with people that we may not always see on a regular basis. And I think it's a little unique this year, especially because, we are coming into this holiday season after a year of a bit more distance and having the holidays look very different last year. And, this year they may continue to look a little bit different, but maybe something slightly closer to normal. And so I thought, we could reflect a little bit on how to make the most of these interactions, because as much as we often look forward to the holidays, they can also be pretty stressful. And I think we've shed a little bit more light on that over, the past few years on some of the stressors that come with the holidays. But I think we can, look into that a little bit more and how to handle it as best as we can. As I will say that for a lot of my patients who have Parkinson's, while they're looking forward to seeing family and friends, a lot of folks also report feeling some overwhelm, some dread, some anxiety related to holiday gatherings. And some of that has to do with just having generally lower stamina. So they worry about how much they'll be able to sustain through hours-long holiday events. Some people also tell me that they get overwhelmed by trying to follow conversation, that, sometimes there are several people talking at once and it's hard to focus on the course of the conversation. And they also find that it can be difficult to respond naturally and quickly in time due to speech difficulties or kind of some processing slowness in their brain. And so by the time they can kind of cultivate the words that they want to say, the topic has since moved on. And so they kind of feel like they end up left out of conversation, which can be stressful. And then for some of my patients, they also say that just navigating different physical environments can be hard, because sometimes these events are crowded. There's dogs and cats and children and area rugs that might be slightly pulled up. And so they kind of see it as a landmine for potential things that they might trip over or lose their balance over. And so they kind of get a little wary of going to these events because of the unfamiliar environments. And so when I talk to patients on how to navigate some of these stressors, one part that I try to help emphasize is that think about the reason why you're going to some of these events. Why is this important to you? And inevitably, for most people, one of the common answers is because I love the people that I'm going to be spending time with. I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy connecting with them. And so, I really want to focus on how we can do that to the best of our ability while still, managing some of the stressors that come along with being around family. And so, when we think about mindfully connecting with people, a few things to keep in mind include making eye contact. And so I know that that sounds like an obvious thing, but for many people, if there's a lot going on, you might notice attention shifting to other things that are happening or other noises. And so if you're trying to focus in and talk to someone and connect with them, making eye contact can be incredibly helpful in engaging and letting some of the other stuff kind of melt away a little bit. And also actively listening with all of your senses. And so by that, I mean, not only looking at the person, but also actively taking in what they're saying as they're saying it, rather than trying to come up with whatever your response may be. Body language wise, trying to face that person in an open kind of posture in order to have them see that you are absorbing the information, and maybe adding in a few nonverbals such as head nods or shrugs or mm-hms. And that, I know for some of my folks with Parkinson's, as well as their family members, they'll say sometimes I can't always tell the person's reaction because their face may be a bit more muted, as we call like the Parkinson's mask. So adding in some of those other nonverbals can help with engagement for both parties. And then another piece is that, as we talked about, the holidays can be stressful. And so sometimes, there may be emotions that you experience that are not positive. You may get frustrated over a situation, or you may get irritated at a person, and others may sometimes feel that same way. And so you don't necessarily always see the best version of yourself or others sometimes during the holidays. And so one thing that I, will tell people is, really try to just be present and acknowledge the range of emotions that you may experience, as well as what others may experience, and kind of take that stressful context into consideration when exhibiting compassion. And earlier this year, we had talked about mindfulness for cultivating compassion towards others. And we did a practice called Just Like Me, which is based on a practice from Ram Dass. And so sometimes we need to cultivate some of that compassion in these tightly formed family situations where there tends to be some history and maybe a little bit of drama. And so really trying to relate to others as people. And so saying things like, this person is a human being, just like me. This person has a body and mind, just like me. They have thoughts and feelings and emotions, just like me, just to try to help create that sense of connection and compassion to other individuals, even when they might not be showing their best side. And then also practicing that beginner's mind. So another topic that we talked about earlier this year, which is basically trying to look at each situation as something new and fresh. So even if you've been through many, many Christmas dinners, or, many, many, holiday gatherings with friends, it may be that this one is, entirely different because it's a new situation, even if it involves the same people, but looking at it through the eyes of a beginner. And looking at the joy on people's faces, looking at how people are interacting, how you're able to interact with them in a way that helps you to see it for the unique situation that it is. And then lastly, whenever you're starting to feel overwhelmed or stressed or prickly, anchor to the breath. Remember that your breath is always there to help ground you in the midst of any situation. It is the one tool that is enduring. And so if you're noticing that maybe some of your Parkinson's symptoms are getting a little worse because of the stimulation from your environment, or you're noticing that fatigue is starting to creep in, take a break. If there's an opportunity for going to a quiet area, even if it's the bathroom, go there and just anchor to your breath for a minute or two. And sometimes that can help reset some of your physiology so that you can keep going and engage in a way that's meaningful. So outside of those tips, I thought that perhaps we could do a brief meditation today that is meant to help you mentally prepare for the holidays. And this is actually one that I adapted slightly from mindfulness.org. And it basically helps you to anchor to yourself, your breath, as well as better understand some of your anticipatory emotional reactions and expectations surrounding the holidays. Because for some people, those, can be quite prominent as they start thinking about the different events or people that they'll be interacting with. And so think of this as a way to kind of check in with yourself and reset a little bit of your expectations for how the holidays might look. So let's go ahead and get into our meditation position. If you are in a chair, leaning back, allowing your spine to be supported, aligning your sit bones, feet on the floor if possible to act as a grounding piece, relaxing the shoulders, closing the eyes, or finding a soft fixed point on the floor 4 to 6 feet in front of you. Let's start by anchoring to the breath. Noticing the breath sensations as you breathe in and breathe out. Allowing the brain to slow, focusing on your attention on the breath. And remember, whenever those other random thoughts pop into your head, compassionately acknowledge them and allow them to float on by. And now, briefly check in with yourself. Notice any labels that you may attach to your experience right now. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling uncomfortable, relaxed. Acknowledging where your mind and your body is at this moment, without judgment, without intent to change. Just notice it all. Remember, if at any point you feel overwhelmed, bring the attention back to that anchoring breath. And now, in your mind's eye, I want you to think about the next couple of weeks. Taking a moment to notice what comes to mind when you think about the holidays. And as you paint that picture, see if you notice anything about your body and how it may react. Do you notice that it may feel more tense? Do you notice a drop in the pit of your stomach? Perhaps maybe feeling a slight bit of elation? Whatever it is that you notice, let it be. Then see if you can label the emotions that you attach to this picture you have of your holidays over the next few weeks. What emotions come to mind for you? It very well could be a whole mix of different things. Excitement, fatigue, anxiety, joy. Notice where your thoughts may go when thinking about the holidays. be stress related to long to-do lists. Could be worry over how to plan events or how certain family members may respond to one another. Now come back from those anticipatory thoughts, that mind's eye image of the holidays, and bring yourself back to the breath. Anchoring in the power of your breath right now, recognizing that there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to please. In this moment, sitting and breathing are your only two concerns. Breathing in calm, breathing out stress. Now consider gently shifting your attention to someone you care about. It may be a family member or a friend. Picturing them in your mind's eye and wish them well. Wishing them peace, wishing them health, wishing them safety. And now focusing on yourself. And wishing yourself those same things. Wishing yourself peace, health, safety. And taking a moment to cultivate gratitude. For these positive connections to yourself and the ones you care about. Remembering that that is the essence of why we come together during the holidays. Now practice letting go. Letting go of expectations for how plans may roll out. Letting go of concerns about tense interactions. Letting go of worry about whether possibly throwing a wrench into a trip. Recognizing them as just thoughts that you do not have to hold on to. The same with emotions. Letting go of the anxiety, discomfort, or overwhelm. Acknowledging its existence, but not allowing it to dictate the terms of your experience. You don't have to wrestle with it, but you don't have to engage with it either. And then coming back to the breath. sometimes even just focusing on the words to help anchor to the breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Remembering that this tool will always be there for you, no matter where you are. And let's take one more deep breath here. And start wiggling those fingers and toes, shifting your sit bones a little bit, rolling the shoulders just slightly, innervating the body. If your eyes are closed, opening when you're ready. So thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone has a restful and restorative December as we prepare for our new year in 2022. And I look forward to seeing everyone in January.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Rush. Let me get caught up on our chats here. So in closing, I would just like to ask everyone, if you are feeling up to it, to write one thing that you're grateful for in the chat box. And that's how we'll end our session tonight. Just one thing that you're grateful for. One thing. Could be the cup of coffee or tea that you're enjoying. Could be the seat or the couch that you're supported on. Could be the virtual background. Could be the possibility to connect online with a mindful group. And let's see what people are writing. Family, meditation, life, Jesus, job, husband, feeling of peace, college, my health. And if you are having a hard time thinking or finding something you're grateful for, try to keep it simple. Just feeling some kind of appreciation for the computer, the laptop, the phone that you're connecting with, the glasses you're wearing, the books behind you, next to you. For you, thanks, Diane, so sweet. The Parkinsons Foundation, my husband, Dr. Rush. Welcome, Arthur. I'm so glad that you joined us. I hope you come back. Good friends, sunshine, peace, the outdoors, a house, the breath. Happy holidays, Lynn, my caregiver. Family, grateful, friends, plants, absolutely. I mean, we wouldn't exist if we didn't have our trees, right? Grateful for sleep, yes. And how about our health? Can we be grateful that we're all healthy and able to connect today with one another? And on that grateful note, I'll leave you guys on this week of December, and we'll join each other on December 20th, our final session of the year 2021. All right. Stay well, you guys.